What a victory for Tipperary. So many people stood up on the day. Heroes Michael Quinlivan, Colin O'Riordan, Connor Sweeney, David Power coming back, second time of asking, or it's like he's been here before. He's done it with the minors. And to lead Tipperary to a first Munster title since 1935. First time in 85 years. Absolutely incredible. Hard to know what it was that did it for Tip is the quality of the footballers. I mean, I've named them out there. Fantastic players. Others stood up too, no doubt about it. But was it the Bloody Sunday thing? Was it wearing the jerseys, the Grange Mokler colours? Was it knowing that the county was solely invested in them, that the Tip footballers were the only side that the county had alive now after what happened at the weekend? Just so fantastic. And I think it's only right on behalf of the people of Tipperary to thank Sydney Swans for allowing Colin O'Riordan to play this game, because what a powerhouse he was throughout the game. Whether it was putting in tackles, carrying the ball, winning kickouts, he was just immense. Michael Quinlivan also, just like obviously he soldiered with the counties for a number of years at this stage, was an all-star in 2016. Just what a performance from him again. Probably even could have had more scores and clipped off the crossbar that errant kick out from Micheál Martin, the goalkeeper, in the 66th minute, and that put Tipperary 16 points to 12 ahead. And I think Tipperary always needed to stay that goal ahead, because it was harem scarum stuff towards the end. It was very, very nervy stuff from a Tipperary point of view. I think Cork were probably, from their point of view, they were probably worried about the lack of penetration, that they couldn't get through, that they couldn't get the scores. Brian Hurley had a bit of a threat inside, and he looked like he had scores in him. Ian Maguire really kind of imposed himself on the game, and his burst through, like, I know that throughout the game I was taking note of who was assisting scores and making the decisive burst, and he went through a number of occasions and upset Tipperary. But there's so many bad wides from Cork and shots getting blocked down. I mean, throughout the second half, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wides, block shots in there. One's dropped short to the keeper, and Tipperary just had answers. And by God, Tipperary were hanging on. There's no doubt about it. Tipperary did not coast to victory here in any way, shape or form. I mean, Connor Sweeney got the team rolling at the start. He got an early mark. Colin O'Riordan with the kick passes in. And this was a big thing that was a difference in the game. The quality of the kick passing in. And I thought it was interesting. You could see the American or the AFL influence on Colin O'Riordan, the way he was holding the ball like that rather than like that, as you would have grown up playing out there in Calais. But he kicked in the first one a ball or two early on. I'm not sure if his one was the one that was claimed as a mark. I think he actually did into Sweeney. And then there was another one that bounced in front of the forwards. Whereas if you look at the other end with Cork, when they were trying to get the ball inside, in the first half, Luke Connolly knocked one wide. Just a long pass in that went wide. Ty Corkery did the same as well. So that accuracy just wasn't there. Cork were spilling the ball. Like the level of disappointment that this Cork team and Ronan McCarthy and Cian O'Neill must have at losing a final after beating Kerry must be absolutely immense. Luke Connolly going off injured at half time. I mean, that was a key moment. You can't get away from it. And like, not having Sean Powter as well. Like, what a huge player he was, and it's probably even understated his influence against Kerry. Cork had 2 Páirc Uí Chaoimh games to go and win a Munster title. And once you had the hardest part done, which is Kerry, the second best team in the country if you're to go on last year, and the league champion, you'd think you're going to beat a team in Division 3 who, albeit Cork are in Division 3 as well, but we know that's a bit of a false position. But Tipperary is starting to look like Division 3 is a false position as well, because leading this game from the very get-go. But Cork did take over for a minute. They went 5 points to 4 ahead on the 16th minute. Tipperary immediately drew level with Sweeney. Then Liam Casey got a point. And from there on, yes, Cork equalised once more, but Tipperary just led from there on. And there was a massive burst from the 27th minute until half-time. Tipperary hit 5 points to 1, and that was the crucial part. After that water break, Cork just kind of held even for a while, and then Tipperary took over, and it was a Cork team that really struggling. They weren't even getting shots off. John O'Rourke got a point just before half-time, but that was kind of it. But like, Tipperary were just, I felt as the second half went on, they were looking a little bit tired. But obviously, being a Tipperary person, you're probably looking at the downside and you're nervy and you're wondering where can this go, and missing frees. Evan Comerford, who later scored one, he missed one, dropped one short. Sweeney was out on the right flank, more or less to the sideline. He dropped one short. But then Colin O'Riordan comes up with a big catch and another big catch. And then he goes and wins a kick out and goes on this lung burst and run, and he bumps into traffic 3 or 4 times, turns around, has a shot, it's knocked out for a 45. Comerford knocks it over. But there's so many players that stood up, and even Philip Austin came in, a soldier for a long time, he knocks one over. And like, Cork just faded. They really just faded. They ran out of leaders, and like, Tipperary deserve all the spoils here. because they've gone away from home into the belly of the beast and they've won. And it was like the old band was back together with Stephen O'Brien and Colin Reardon in midfield. Now, Stephen O'Brien had a tough task on Ian Maguire, and it wasn't always easy to keep into him, but Stephen O'Brien, or Colin Reardon, I mean, what a player. Any chance that Sydney Swans might allow him to stay and do a little bit more of this. And will he be allowed to play against Mayo? That's the big thing as well. So again, it's Tipperary had lost 7 finals since last win it in 1935. This is Cork now losing 7 finals since they last won it in 2012 against Clare. So another really tough day at the office for the Cork footballers. And I do think one of the big things was, I said that accuracy of the kick passing inside. And Tipperary probably could have got more scores here, and maybe Cork feel the same as well. But the kick passing in the first half, Tipperary punished the turnovers. Both teams spilled possession. It was an error-strewn game in a lot of ways, and a very nervy game, which you can kind of understand, both teams sensing a bit of history. But Tipperary were able to profit on those mistakes a little bit more. And over the course of the game, Cork returned so little from play. It was 4 or 5 points in the entirety of the game that they got from play, whereas Tipperary had a few more threats. Like I said, Liam Casey, Sweeney, Michael Quinlivan, like some of his scores were just next level stuff altogether. And as I said, Conor Sweeney. But Tipperary, Michael Quinlivan, he could have been abroad. He was supposed to be abroad this year. Look why he stayed around and do it after all those years of football. Imagine if he was away for this one. And I'm sure it ranks up there with Clonmel winning the Munster football title a few years ago, right up beside it. But Tipperary probably did have the most talented footballers on the field. Cork probably have the athleticism, probably have more depth. But if you were going to, like in a tight game, and this was always my hope, that Colin Reardon, Michael Quinlivan, Conor Sweeney, that these guys are arguably, if you were to pick the top 5 players on the field, they're probably up there. So maybe that's what helped Tip get across the line. And just, I think, what a way to honour the Bloody Sunday commemoration. And like from a Tipperary point of view, and everyone is commemorating it, but from a Tipperary point of view, wearing that jersey, just, I don't know, maybe it gave the players that extra bit of a kick. But an unbelievable performance, an unbelievable win. And what a great day for Tipperary football.